Part 1. What makes a happy life? A happy life can be characterized by being completely absorbed in what one does. As suggested by Mihaly theory of flow, the state of absorption where individuals are fully engaged and focused on their activities contributes to a sense of fulfillment and well-being. What is the result of Mihaly's theory? The result of Mihaly theory is the understanding that happiness is not solely determined by external events or circumstances. Instead, it is influenced by our perception of these events and our level of engagement with them. Csikszentmihalyi emphasized that our happiest moments occur when we are in a state of flow, fully immersed in what we are doing. How does Mihaly get the theory of flow? Mihaly developed the theory of flow through observations of artists working in their studios. He noticed that these individuals would become so engrossed in their creative process that they would lose track of time, ignore hunger or fatigue, and experience a deep sense of concentration and enjoyment. The observation led Csikszentmihalyi to investigate further and formulate the concept of flow. Mention and explain the flow theory. The flow theory proposed by Mihaly suggests that individuals experience of optimal fulfillment and happiness when they are in a state of flow. Flow occurs when individuals are fully immersed in an activity, experiencing deep concentration and enjoyment during flow. Individuals often lose track of time, and we have a heightened sense of focus and satisfaction. Csikszentmihalyi effortless involvement and intrinsic motivation. Make a note. Csikszentmihalyi's theory of flow suggests that being completely absorbed in activities is central to experiencing happiness. Happiness, according to Csikszentmihalyi, is not solely determined by external events, but rather by our engagement and perception of those events. Csikszentmihalyi developed the theory of flow after observing how artists immerse themselves in their work. Flow is a state of optimal fulfillment and happiness characterized by deep concentration, enjoyment, and a sense of effortless involvement. By understanding and actively seeking activities that promote flow, individuals can enhance their well-being and satisfaction in life. 2. 1. What is the distinction between seeds and nuts? Botanically, seeds are defined as a part of flowering plant or tree that can grow into a new plant when buried in the ground and germinated. Nuts, on the other hand, are a type of plant fruit containing a single seed, with or without integument, that does not attach itself to the ovary wall. Nuts have a tough outer shell that doesn't crack open when the seed matures. According to the professor, how do botanists define a seed? Botanists define a seed as a part of flowering plant or tree that will grow into a new plant if buried in the ground and germinated. It comprises an embryo and its integument, which can be seen in examples like sunflower seeds. Why does the professor mention kernels? The professor mentioned kernels to emphasize that they are not technically nuts but rather the edible part inside the outer shell of certain seeds or nuts. People often refer to kernel as nuts, such as pecans or chestnuts, when technically they should be called pecan meat or chestnut kernel. What is the integument? The integument is covering that surrounds the embryo in a seed. It can be it can become a part of the seed structure or develop into a fruit as the embryo grows. Some nuts have an integument while others like berries and peanuts do not. Make a note. Botanically, seeds and nuts are distinct entities. Seeds are part of flowering plants that can grow into new plants, while nuts are a type of plant fruit containing a single seed with a tough outer shell. The botanical definition of seeds includes an embryo and its integument, while nuts have a dry, tough outer shell does that doesn't crack open when mature. Kernels, although often referred to as nuts in culinary language, are technically the edible part inside the outer shell of certain seeds or nuts. The integument of covering surrounding the embryo plays a role in the botanical classification of seeds. Understanding these distinctions is crucial for clarity in botanical and culinary discussions, and highlights the nutritional significance of both seed and nuts in human and di- wildlife diets. Retell the story. Once upon a time, there were three bears who lived together in a house of their own in the woods. One was a great huge bear, another was a middle-sized bear, and the third was a little small wee bear. One day, after making porridge for their breakfast, the bears decided to take a walk in the woods while their porridge cooled. During their stroll, a little girl named Goldilocks wandered into their house. Goldilocks, known for her golden curls, began to explore the house. First, she tasted the porridge of the great huge bear, but it was too hot. Then she tried the porridge of the middle bear, but it was too cold. Finally, she tasted the porridge of the little small wee bear, which was just right. So she ate it all up. Afterward, Goldilocks went upstairs to the bedroom. She tried the beds of each bear, finding the great huge bear's bed too hard, the middle bear's bed too soft, but the little small wee bear's bed just right. So she snuggled under the cover and fell fast asleep. Meanwhile, the three bears returned home and discovered someone had been in their house. They found their porridge disturbed and their beds slept in. The great huge bear roared, the middle bear grumbled, and the little small wee bear squeaked. When they reached their bedroom, they realized someone had been lying in their beds. The great huge bear bellowed, the middle bear grunted, and the little small wee bear chirped. They found Goldilocks fell fast asleep in the little small wee bear's bed. Started awake by the commotion, Goldilocks fled from the house, running all the way to her grandmother's house. There, she recounted her adventure with the three bears, but her grandmother dismissed it as merely a wild imagination.